All right, everyone. We got Jesse Luketa joining us today. First question will go to Jerry DePaula with the Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Hello, Jesse. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Good, good. I was just curious. You come from a rather large family with a lot of siblings. How'd they like having you home in the springtime for the first time in a long time?
It was a good time. I got to spend a lot of quality time with all my nieces and nephews, so I enjoyed it. I haven't spent that much time with family since I left home. So,
How long have you been at State College?
so I recently just returned to State College. I got back here last Thursday night.
Mark Brennan, Fight on State.
Hey, Jesse, thank you for doing this today.
Pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I wonder, can you tell us what you did while you were up in Canada? I guess there were some videos of you working out in the snow and whatnot. And what was the process like getting back to the States? Was it tricky at all?
When I was home, the biggest thing for me was just training. I couldn't get complacent. So originally, when I first returned, I was in Ottawa, my hometown. I spent some time there. I was training with a couple of guys, a couple other teammates, Jonathan Sutherland, and a couple other guys who they attend other institutions across the country. But then I went to go visit my family in Edmonton, Alberta, on the west coast of Canada. So while my time out there, I wasn't really able to access any facilities. So it was honestly just jail workouts, push-ups, dips in the house. Coach D, she was able to send me some weight vests, some bands, a kettlebell. So I started to get a little intricate with my workouts in there. But as time started to progress, I finally came back to Ottawa and I was able to work out with my trainer and Claude Giroux, Ben Hutton, a couple of NHL guys. So we got some good work just to make sure I was keeping, physically prepared. And I was, as far as mentally, I was making sure to stay sharp with my film and everything. But as pertaining to your question about getting back to the United States, it was kind of hard at first because travel is still banned and everything. So as far as myself and Jonathan, we had our paperwork to get back in the country, but the question was if we'd be able to cross if somebody drove us. So I had to have one of my coaches drive us to the border. He dropped us off there, and then we had a representative from Penn State come and pick us up, and they brought us back to State College.
Rich Garcella, Running Eagle.
Hi, Jesse. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Can you tell us, when did you first start working out with Giroux? I know it was a few years ago. How did that happen? And how did you guys reconnect, I guess, while you were home this year?
So I think me and Claude started working out since, I want to say 2016, 2017. But I've known him since I was a kid because my coach who really has a big part in, where I am now. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. With the countless trips, taking care of me, he housed me at one point. His name was Danny Nesrella. So he owned a Greco Lean Fit Fitness. It was a chain group owned by Tony Greco. So Greco Lean Fit, they train NHL players. So I remember I was young. I would walk into the facility. I see guys like Mike Fisher, Carrie Underwood, which at the time I didn't know who she was. And I have a funny story. So she was in the facility. And I'd walk in and say hi, Carrie, but I never knew who Carrie Underwood was. And Mike Fisher was there, whatever. I was just a little kid. I'd come to the facility, had to go play football. And then later on, when they left, I ended up seeing her on the commercial for the NFL intro, and I was like, "Wait, that's Carrie." And then my coach was like, "Yeah, that's her." So it was hilarious. But so that's how I met them initially when I was younger. But as it started to grow and they started I was taking football more seriously, they started allowing me to work out with them. And Tony Greco, he's been a big part of, my progression as well. He trains me whenever I'm able to get home. I always have a place in this facility. And me and Claude, he's a dude that he does not get tired. So training out with him, I always got to be in my P's and Q's. So I love working with him. He's someone I always keep in my corner. We stay in contact all the time.
Greg Pickle, Penn Live.
Hi, Jesse. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. And yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. What has it been like to be back in State College around your teammate now, and how have the workouts been going?
So since I've been back, I've honestly been in my hotel room, training by myself. I go to the field, get some work in. But as far as training with my teammates, I haven't really been around them or the facilities just yet. So they just want me to stay around here and just wait it out for a little bit.
Next question is Audrey Snyder with The Athletic.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for your time this afternoon. I'm wondering, going back to, you said with the border and getting here, I mean, were you concerned at one point once you went home that, maybe getting back was going to be a bit of a nightmare?
Yes and no, because initially, like, I had returned home for spring break, so it was funny because we had asked our athletic team, our people, if there'd be any issues with the COVID thing and whatnot, but they told us no, there's no problem. So I went home, and then once I got home and they let us know that we're going to be closed, I was kind of concerned, as I didn't know how long I'd be in Canada for, or if I'd be able to get back into the U.S. And get back to the team. So there were some concerns at the time, but I'm just grateful to be back here.
Next up is Nubias Wilborn with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Hey man, how's it going, brother?
How you doing, boss?
Man, I'm doing fine, dude. Just trying to get through this thing. You know how I go. From there, man, what has it been like just the past 2 weeks? What's been the toughest part about the transition back to State College over the last 2 weeks?
I said the toughest part about my transition is just I've been kind of lonely. Like, I'm in my hotel room. Everything I do is kind of by myself. There's a couple other dudes who are in the hotel with me as well, so I'm with them. But yeah, like, it's weird being back in State College, and I want to be around all my guys, all my brothers. But I gotta keep my distance. That's what's most important, because we really want to make sure we're doing what's in the best interest for the team to ensure we have the best opportunity of having a season this year. So.
Peter Terpstra, WTAJ.
Hey, Jesse. I'm curious, is the coronavirus situation any different in Canada? I don't know, have you noticed any kind of difference in how folks how, whether it's local governments or whatever, how folks are handling the pandemic compared Canada and here?
I wouldn't say there's much of a difference. In Canada, it's the same thing. A lot of places were shut down. They imposed the quarantine, the social distances, and everything. So, while I was back home in Canada, honestly, like, I was in the house. I was working out in the house. If I went to run, it'd be like in the woods, run some hills, come back home. That's really it. I wasn't really out and about, I would say. It's the same thing as far as government policies and everything. I feel as if they've implemented the same restrictions here in United States as they have in Canada. So.
Our next question is John Petishnock, HappyValley.com. John, great to see your face.
Yeah, good to see you, Greg, and good to see you, Jesse. Appreciate your time today and hope you're doing well. Hey, speaking of your family, last season I got some video footage of you with your family during team arrival at Beaver Stadium. And after the game, you said that you always want to play your best football when you have your loved ones in the stands. So I just wanted to follow up on that and ask, how big of a support system has your family been for you? And are there ways that they motivate you or inspire you during your career?
Absolutely. Growing up, my mom always told me, like, it takes a village. I'm the youngest of 7, so I have a whole village behind me. So it's like she did all of that on her own. She played both roles. So seeing the sacrifices she made, the fact that she let a young 14-year-old leave her home, to pursue her dreams by himself. I know it didn't sit well with her. So she's my motivation. Everything I do is for her. She's my rock. But as far as playing a role as a motivation for me, yeah, absolutely. I say I wouldn't be doing what I do now if it wasn't for them. I've been able to study abroad. I've been able to receive a free education. With that, I'm in a position where I'll be able to graduate early and pursue my aspirations of potentially receiving a master's degree. And that's something that where I come from, let alone a second generation immigrant, hailing from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That doesn't happen too much. So, I'm forever grateful for everything my mom, my siblings have done for me, even my cousins, because I feel like every little victory that I have, they have a little piece, they have a little part in that. So, it's bigger than me.
Tyler Donahue, Lions 247.
Hey, Jesse, great to hear from you and glad to hear everything's going well.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to talk about, a couple of years ago, you mentioned wanting to really set the standard high for Canadian prospects and keep them coming to Penn State. You got Malik and Theo in this class. Penn State's doing more in recruiting up there beyond the 2020 class. How much pride do you take in that? And your name comes up a lot when these guys visit campus as someone who stands out and helps bring them to campus ultimately. What is your role in making sure that Penn State's developing a pipeline in Canada?
I mean, there's so much talent in Canada. I feel like, at times it's underappreciated because, the Canadian stereotype of, he's from Canada. Maybe he's not strong enough. He's not good enough. So, having these kids, especially guys from my own city, guys like Christian, guys like Malik, who he's from Montreal, but it's right down the road from Ottawa. So even when I was back home in Ottawa, I got to work with him. There was actually a carpool of like 7 cars full of kids that came from Montreal. We had a big training session, just stuff like that, being able to give back to the community. There's an opportunity for them to leave, our current situations for bigger and better things. So, when I have the opportunity to host those guys when they come on the campus, it's not really hard for me. I don't sell them a pitch. I'm not a car salesman. I keep it real simple with them. I keep it 100 with them. I let them know that, Penn State, one of the best institutions in the country, if not the world. You got an opportunity to play football, get a world-class degree, and network and connect with a lot of individuals who have been here before you, and continue to network with people who are going to be here after you. So, they love it. I love being able to be, I say, quote unquote, a Canadian ambassador for Penn State. So, yeah.
Frank Bodani, York Daily Record.
Hi, Jesse. It's been a long time for you guys being involved in football activities, working out with your team, playing the sport. What are you concerned about, or what's your thoughts trying to get back into this now? How ready do you think you really are, or what's it going to take?
I myself personally, I feel like I'm ready, but there's always levels to it. I say so. I feel like I'm in shape, but it's not the same way I feel in shape if I was here for the past 4 months. So the biggest thing for us is just making sure we're ready to play football at the level we know how to play football, fast and aggressive. So I'm excited that all our guys are finally going to be returning to campus in the next 2 weeks. With that being said, the turnover is going to be quick. We're going to have to get to work. There's no time for individuals to be lackadaisical. So the turnover is going to be quick. I'm just excited to get back to work.
Mark Wogenritz, SI.com.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for your time. 1, have you ever skated with any of those NHL guys that you've trained with? 2, what was the whole process? You talked about crossing the border. What was that day like to get back from between the Canada and the U.S.?
As far as skating, I can't skate. That's the funny thing. I never played hockey growing up. It was too expensive. So that was out of the question. As far as returning to the U.S., it was the day honestly went pretty simple. We got to the border. They already knew we were coming, so they were awaiting our arrival. We got there and we had to go to a certain side of the building. We got there, presented our documents and everything, and got through. And then we basically just had to get our stuff, walk through, because the individual who drove us, he wasn't permitted to go any further, so he had to turn around. So we got our stuff, walked through, and then we got in the car with our Penn State representative.
John Sauber, Center Daily Times.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for taking the time to do this. You mentioned that you're ready to be on the field again and you see yourself as physically ready, but do you think you're ready mentally to sort of take a bigger role in the room now that Jan and Cam are both gone?
Absolutely. Those are guys, being able to spend all that time with Jan. He was my roommate since freshman year. Every single time we'd be home or away, staying in the hotel. So, having an individual like Jan to pick his brain and to learn from and study from, has been extremely beneficial for my own personal career. Guys like Cam, that's my brother. So I feel like those guys are gone. Now it's my turn to step up, and I have to essentially be the old head in the room because the younger guys are looking up to me. Whether it's jumping on Zoom calls, making sure they're staying on top of their stuff, helping them along with the playbook, with their signals. That's stuff that that I've taken upon myself because as of now the onus is on me. I'm a leader in the room now. I'm gonna have to be a leader on the field. especially playing that Mike in the will position. You know, Penn State has a standard. Penn State has a rich history of what it is to be a Penn State linebacker, and that's something, you know, I'm going to carry.
All right, folks, we'll go through the list one more time. If you do not have a question when I call your name, just say pass, please. Let's start with Jerry DePaula, Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Jesse, I'm curious as to how much football, learning football, you guys were able to do as far as classroom stuff and getting acclimated to everything with any new things you might have had to learn that you weren't able to take care of during spring drills.
The biggest thing for us that we were able to do throughout this quarantine, you know, we'd hop on Zoom 3 times a week. You know, Coach Pride takes pride in that. We make sure, you know, we're all staying collective, you know, checking up on one another. So whenever we'd have our meetings, we'd be going through our plays, we'd be going through, you know, just talk ball, schemes and whatnot. So as far as that, the only thing we weren't able to do was work on the physical aspect, work on our technique and everything. But those are things that, you know, when we get into camp, when we get back all together and we reassemble, we'll be able to address. But as far as, you know, meeting and being able to talk ball, that's something we've been doing.
Mark Brennan, Fight On State.
Jesse, we saw a little bit of Brandon Smith and Lance Dixon last year. What can you tell us about those two guys as linebackers and maybe what their respective upsides are?
You know, those are 2 individuals, you know, who are physically gifted, exceptionally gifted. You know, now, you know, sitting down and talking with both of them I told them both, now it's time for them to take the next step. You know, that freshman hype is over. Now it's time to take the physical God-given gifts that you guys have and combine it with, you know, the intellectual part of the game. And that's when you're going to start really seeing flashes of the types of players, the type of great players both of them can be. So I'm excited for both of them.
Rich Garcello, Reading Eagle.
Jesse, have you or anybody close to you been affected by COVID? And what are some of your concerns going forward with returning to campus and trying to do your best to stay away from testing positive?
No one close to me or anybody that I've come in contact with has been tested positive for COVID. I'd say my biggest concern as we return to campus and, you know, we're going to return to in-person classes come August 25th would have to be how, like, the classroom environment is going to be. Are we going to be, you know, sitting shoulder to shoulder, or is it going to be like, you know, every third or every second chair having a student in it? So it's kind of those type of questions. So I feel like those are things that are going to be addressed once we get to that point in time. But as of right now, I'm just focused on, you know, getting back with my team and getting back to football.
Greg Pickle, Penn Live.
Jesse, obviously from an on-field perspective, you haven't been able to do much of late, but what ways do you think your game is better now than it was last season as you prepare to get closer to camp and compete for that starting linebacker job?
Just honestly, my intellectual part. You know, I've been sharp. I've been studying our playbook. I've been studying teams. I've been studying offensive schemes. Just trying to continue to grow and evolve as a student of the game. That's my biggest thing. I'm always eager to learn and add to my game in some way, shape, or form. So I mean, you know, the physical part, that's gonna come along. That's no problem. Once, you know, repetition, muscle memory. But the biggest thing for me was taking this time to, you know, re-emphasize and focus on the things that I'm not as comfortable on and turn them into my strengths. So I feel very confident. I'm excited. I can't wait to get back on the field with my brother and, you know, be able to display that level of confidence and swagger. So that's where I'm at right now.
We'll go to Audrey Snyder with The Athletic.
Jesse, how did you and Micah maybe motivate each other from afar during these last few months? And are there any of your teammates who aren't back in State College? I know Coach Franklin had mentioned that maybe some guys didn't feel comfortable coming back.
Yeah. Me and Micah, you know, we're always on top of each other. I'm always making sure I'm hard on them, and it's the same vice versa. As far as myself, when I was back home in Canada, you know, I'd be up waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning. I did that at least 4 to 5 times a week. I go run 2.5 kilometers back home. And I would sweat check him. I'd be like, what's up? What you about to do today? So, you know, stuff like that. I would do that, wake back up, go get some field work later on in the day. and he would do the same thing. So it's like I'm sending him this, Mike was responding with another workout that he just did. So it was a competition, and I feel like we made sure to keep each other accountable. You know, he spent some good time out training with Saquon and Marcus and Amani out in LA. So I should have been there, but being able to just make sure that, you know, he was surrounded by guys who were going to keep him sharp, keep him on his P's and Q's was important. As far as the individuals who aren't back in state, yeah, there's a couple of guys who have yet to return. I know a couple of guys in the linebacker room are set to return. I want to say it's Sunday night or Monday. Max Chismar, so I'm excited to see Max. I'm excited to see Dwyer, so they'll be back soon.
Next question is Nubias Wilborn, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Earlier you mentioned like adapting. Like how much have you even got a chance to like put pads on or a helmet on or anything close to that kind of ilk?
The only thing I've been able to put on is my gloves and my cleats. As far as my helmet and pads, I can't wait to be able to, you know, strap them up, but I have not.
Peter Turfshaw, WTAJ.
How have you seen the linebacker room improve and kind of grow since when you first came to Penn State?
It's funny because I've seen our room, you know, there's been a multitude of faces. I've seen our room really shape into a group that was kind of dispersed into a group that's, you know, that's starting to grow closer and closer collectively as a unit. You know, our group, I feel we have the opportunity to have the number one linebacker in the country. Stand me on that, in the country, in the nation. You know, we're talented, we're fast, physical, we're smart, and, you know, we're eager to learn. So, I mean, I feel like those are the characteristics you want from a linebacker group to have to excel, to reach their full potential. So I'm excited for our guys. I'm excited for the country to see what we have to offer and what we're going to do to opposing offenses.
John Petishnock, happyvalley.com.
Hey, Jesse, given that you didn't have spring practice and you've been away from your teammates and the coaches and the facilities for a while now, have you gained a new level of appreciation for just how much you love and enjoy playing football?
Absolutely. Not even just football, just the little things, just being able to, you know, just walk in our facility, being able to walk in our nutrition bar and say what's up to our nutritionist, Leanne, like little things like that. So those are the things I was longing for the most, you know, just simple locker room conversation talk, being able to see my brothers, you know. So I feel at times like we took it for granted. So, I mean, yeah. So you really start seeing the things that I think you took for granted when it's taken away from you. So, I mean, I'm excited to, once we're honestly back to, you know, our full schedule, you know, being able to be in the locker room, being able to be around everybody, you know, without restrictions. So it's going to be a slow process.
Tyler Donahue, Lions 247.
Jesse, 3 summers ago, you said you were chasing Micah Parsons to join this class because you thought he had All-American potential. Last year, he became an All-American. What's next for Micah, and why has it all gone according to plan for him through 2 years at Penn State?
What's next for Micah is a conversation we have almost every other day. The buckets. I mean, we should have had it this year, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, there's a political aspect of things, but that's where it's at. The buckets, and, you know, leaving this institution as decorated as, you know, he knows he can be, and going to the next level as the number one defender taking off the court. You know, and those are the conversations we have. You know, going for that bucket, you know, being a finalist. That's one of the goals that, you know, we've put on my board. He has on his board. You know, we want to do the things that LeVar and B Short did while they were here. You know, having the talent we have in our room and the way we like to compete and push each other to be better each and every single day, it's inevitable. You know, we take care of doing the little things day in and day out, being accountable, you know, being responsible, and being the leaders that, you know, Coach Pride needs us to be. Everything's gonna fall into place. But that's one thing I always remind him. You know, he can't be too focused on, you know, what's to come. You gotta have, you know, one foot in front of the other mindset. Everything else will fall into place.
Frank Bodani, York Daily Record.
Jesse, as a player, how do you try to deal with the uncertainty of even getting a chance to play? No one knows for certain how the season's going to look, if it's going to go. But as a player, how do you kind of deal with that as you're going forward here? What's that like?
Honestly, it goes back to Coach Franklin's, four core values. Having a positive mindset. That's number one. Regardless if we have a season or if we don't, knock on wood, I pray that we do. We're gonna be ready. We're gonna stay ready. You don't wanna have to get ready. You rather make sure you and your individuals behind you are collectively ready. So honestly, right now, as long as we're working out, we're in shape, we're ready to play ball, we're sharp. I feel as if we are blessed to play a full season or a half season, we're gonna take full advantage of it and make the best out of it. But I don't even want to talk about not having a season because I don't envision or have any plans of us not having a season.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. Mark Wogenrich, SI.com.
Jesse, what makes you say that you think Penn State might have the best linebacker room in the country? And does that come up in your position meetings?
I mean, you've seen the film, you've seen the individuals we have in the room. I see the type of work we put in day out, and that's the reason why I made such a statement. Call me crazy, call me what you want, but I know the talent we have. I know how we work. I know how hungry we are, and it's unmatched, it's unparalleled. And so it's simple as that.
Our last question is John Sauber, Center Daily Times.
Hey, Jesse, did you have any reservations yourself about possibly coming back to campus? And I know you mentioned you're concerned about when classes start, but is there anything with football that you're worried about once the season starts and the virus?
No, honestly. As far as football, I just want to play. Like I said, I've been itching to put the pads back on and just hit. So that's where my mind's at right now.
All right, Jesse, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for joining